Recording in progress.
Good morning, Chairperson.
Good morning, Secretary.
Yes, Chair, we can start now.
Okay. Good morning, honorable members.
Morning, Chair. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everybody.
Thank you very much. Let's start with our meeting. I'm informed by the Secretary that we are ready to start. Let me officially open the meeting and welcome you all. The agenda is on the screen. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda?
Ditebe's hand is up, Chair.
Honorable Ditebe.
Good morning, Chairperson, to you and the rest of the team with the DM. I move that we adopt the business of the day. Thank you.
Honorable Makagula.
Thank you, Chairperson. I second Member Ditebe for the adoption. Thank you.
Thank you very much. An alternative view? Nothing. Apologies, Secretary.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning to the members, DM and DG, and all the colleagues in the platform. I only received an apology from the Office of the Minister. The Minister will not be able to attend today's meeting due to academic commitments. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. And let me welcome the Deputy Minister and welcome the DG and your delegation. Welcome you once more, honorable members, staff from the ministry, and staff from Parliament that is supporting our portfolio committee. Honorable members, municipalities are the closest sphere of government to communities and are deliberately placed to render optimal service delivery with respect to the provision of human settlements. Municipalities encounter serious challenges for, among others, accreditation, issuance of the deeds, and consumer protection within human settlement sector. The sector lies in ensuring that municipalities meet required standards for service delivery and that consumers, particularly those in informal settlements, are protected from exploitation and have access to information and support. This involves addressing issues like capacity building within municipalities, promoting fair housing practices, and ensuring that consumers understand their rights and obligations. The implementation of the accreditation programs is anchored in the revised accreditation framework that was approved in September 2023. And as such, there are municipalities that are accredited and are at different levels. And we'll hear from the department today as to how far are they with this. And as a result, this should be viewed as placing an accreditation program as a progressive capacitation mechanism and delegation by provinces for municipalities to play an active role in the administration and delivery of housing programs and projects. However, the question remains, to what extent are these accredited municipalities able to deliver on their mandates? Are there any challenges? If so, to what extent has the Department of Human Settlement able to deal with such challenges? In the same breath, honorable members, the title deeds restoration program aimed at issuing title deeds for pre and post 94 housing. However, it has been faced with significant challenges, particularly in meeting targets and addressing capacity limitations. This relates to lack of capacity within municipalities and provinces to finalize transfer processes, including shortage of technical specialists like land surveyors and lawyers, as well as delays in township registration and clearance certificate, resulting in the backlog. In addressing these challenges, the department, in its report to the Portfolio Committee on the 13th of November 2024, reported that MINMEC, held on the 3rd of October 2024, had approved a proposal for a concurrent phased approach. And the department will brief us today as to that resolution, the implementation of that resolution. The question is, however, whether the department has made any strides in the implementation of the above. If so, can the department elaborate on what has been achieved? If not, what have been these challenges? Given the critical nature of today's meeting, particularly as it relates to the department's presentation on the development of the Human Settlement Bill and the regulations under the Housing Consumer Protection Act 2024. The question on stalled, blocked, and incomplete projects continues to impact negatively on communities in townships. For example, in Cape Town, the residents of Freedom Square and Zwelicha in Nyanga are concerned about the incomplete reconstruction and development program houses, which have been a hideout for criminals. These RDP houses have been unoccupied since 2010 and are said to be used by criminals who conduct robberies on a passerby and locals. The same in Gugulethu Township. It is reported that the city of Cape Town has set aside 105 million to build more than 570 homes in 2017 for families who had been evicted under the Group Areas Act and moved to Gugulethu. More than 8 years later, only 23 houses have been completed. With having said that, honorable members, let me allow the Deputy Minister to give us an overview, and then we get today's presentations, the three presentations I've referred to about the bill, about the title deeds, and about the accreditation of municipalities. And as the DM comes in, DG, whoever is going to present, if we can make sure that we do our presentation, each of those presentations within 15 minutes or so, so that we allow members to interact with the presentations. Thanks very much. Honorable DM.
Thank you so much, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee. Greetings to members of the portfolio, the officials of the department and our team led by the DDG, Dr. Alec Moemi. Chair, indeed, today we are going to be presenting on a matter which speaks to the dignity of the people of South Africa and the sense of ownership. And indeed, the title deeds are some kind of a piece of paper, very important to South Africans and anyone else that seeks to own a property in this country. And the issues that are going to be discussed will be led by the DG and the team of the DG. However, in a small scale, we are trying to give the title deeds to the owners. And you are correct to say that South Africans tracking back from 1996, they don't have their title deeds. And I must also say to the Portfolio Committee that the problems of the title deed are multifaceted. You need to have the land form, you need to have the deed office, you need to have the municipalities, and currently our problems in the main are around this Pluma regulations. And we've since taken a decision to say our minister must meet with the Minister of COGTA to discuss whether they can be able to ease these regulations so that you are able to give the title deeds to the people at a bigger scale, because also the challenges of township establishment are the reason why people of 1996 have not received their title deeds. Now, the point that I want to drive, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, is to say that the intergovernmental relations at the level of Parliament perhaps would come very handy for us to be able to expedite the processes. Perhaps a meeting between the two portfolio committees, particularly on the matter of the title deeds, which is COGTA and human settlements. Perhaps it will help us to yield some positive results in ensuring that people are getting their title deed. And indeed, the regulations, the Property Practitioner Regulations Act, it will have to be implemented fully, not only to address this issue, but also to address the issues of transformation in the sector. We are pleased to table our report before the Portfolio Committee today, and so that the Portfolio Committee also guides us on how to perhaps can we be able to expedite the process given all the multifaceted challenges. The land reform also will have to be part of that particular intergovernmental approach in ensuring that we deliver the title deeds to the people. And the DG with his team, if you allow a chairperson, can take a platform and present on the reports as required by the portfolio committee. Thank you so much.
DG, we're in your hands.
A hearty good morning to you, Honorable Chairperson, and a good morning to the honorable members of the Portfolio Committee. Chairperson, we will, without a waste of time, I think the Deputy Minister has given the context to the presentations that were making before the Portfolio Committee this morning. We are therefore requesting that, with your indulgence, Chair, that with the first item on the agenda, that we kindly allow our Head of Legal Services, Mr. Paul Masamula, to present on the update work, first on the regulations related to the Consumer Protection Act, and secondly, to give an update on the work that is being done and a pathway towards the review and the finalization of the Human Settlements Bill. So, with your permission, Chair, I would invite my colleague, Mr. Paul Masamula, to immediately make that presentation within the 15 minutes you have given us a guide. Thank you very much, Chair.
Mr. Masamula.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, honorable members of the committee, Deputy Minister, DG, and colleagues. Good morning. Our presentation outline is that one will be the purpose of the presentation. Secondly, the Human Settlement Bill, the Human Settlement Bill process outline. The fourth will be the regulations under the Housing Consumer Protection Act 2024, and then there will be recommendations. Next slide. The purpose of the presentation is to update the Portfolio Committee on the development of the Human Settlement Bill and the regulations under Housing Consumer Protection Act 2024. Human Settlement Bill, following the Cabinet approval of Human Settlement White Paper on the 4th of December 2024, the Department, through Policy Unit, hosted two separate symposiums in March 2025 on the theme Advancing Land Titling, Unblocking Challenges, Opportunities, and Policy Perspective in Human Settlements, and the review of Section 10A and 10B of the Housing Act. The symposium was attended by provincial departments, municipalities, human settlement entities, SALGA, academia, consultants of human settlements, NGOs, and agencies representing beneficiaries of housing. Next slide. The objectives of the symposium was to provide a platform for all stakeholders to provide input on how to unlock blockages within the process of issuing title deeds and the implications of Section 10A and 10B of the Housing Act, which prohibits the voluntary sale of state subsidy houses within a period of 8 years. Next slide. And this would have, or rather, the symposium was part of the consultation that the department is embarking on in providing solutions to the identified challenges within the human settlement sector and necessity of provisions for amendments or overhaul of the Housing Act. The following are some of the areas that have been identified for possible amendments of the Housing Act, which the department will continue to have similar meetings to stimulate discussions between all critical stakeholders, the roles and functions of national, provincial, and municipalities, capacitation of the municipalities, accreditation and assignment of housing function to local government, and appropriate forms of tenure. For example, the recordal system that interface with the deeds registry office, as we have indicated that there would have been some challenges on township proclamations, which then results in the delay of the title deeds issuance. Also, the Section 10A, as we have indicated, it has generated a lot of interest in that. There will be sectors who believe, sections of people who believe that 8 years is too little. We should increase it almost similar responsibilities as someone who would have bought a house on a bond, which would take even 15 to 20 years. And others would say we must remove it totally because getting a title deed, it gives someone an opportunity to even advance in terms of economy. So it's there are still different views on it. But as we've indicated, is that these issues that we have identified so far as emanating from the human settlement white paper discussions, where there would have been matters that were identified as of interest to our people, so that we started with them to engage. The draft human settlement bill will be ready for consultation and presentation to the portfolio committee in the fourth quarter of 2026-2024 financial year. Next slide. Human settlement bill process outline, and these are the processes that we'll be following in order for us to be bringing the draft to the portfolio committee. There will be a white paper as a foundation. We have done it, the policy framework which we are working on, the draft human settlement bill developed. Go back to the last slide. Yeah, internal stakeholder consultations, incorporate and consolidate inputs received, which we have already started doing work on that. Presentations, present the bill to the internal structures and the minister. Preliminary opinions of the draft bill obtained from Office of State Law Advisors. Presentation, present the bill to the technical working group and the Forum of South African Directors General of Social Protection, Community and Human Development Cluster. Present also the bill to the internal stakeholders. Next slide. The bill will then be subjected to socio-economic impact assessment system process. It will be we'll then present the bill to the executive management team of the department and the ministers with executive management meeting. Classify, incorporate, and consolidate input that are received. Then the bill will be presented to the MINMEC and will then receive final certification from Office of the State Law Advisors on the bill, whether it meets a constitutional master and the style of writing. The minister will present the bill in cabinet for approval for publication, and it will then be published in the Government Gazette for public comments. Ordinarily, it would be 30 or more days. Information sessions and stakeholder consultation will be held by the department. Next slide. The feedback will be provided to Cabinet on inputs received through information session and approval for submission to Parliament. And this is what we hope that we will be bringing it in the 2026-2027 fourth quarter. The minister will submit the bill to Parliament. The bill will be referred to Portfolio Committee on Human Settlement and then also to Select Committee on Human Settlements. The Portfolio Committee will then conduct public hearings, approval by the National Assembly, and then it will be transmitted to NCOP Select Committee and also the House of Traditional Leaders and Khoisan leaders. Next slide. Also, the similar process will then be followed by the Select Committee conducting public hearings and then concurrence and approval. The bill will then be adopted by the National Assembly, then referred to President for assent, and then it will become an act. The next slide, it's the regulations under the Housing Consumer Protection Act 2024. The President assented to the Housing Consumer Protection Act 2024 on the 20th of December 2024, and it was published in the Government Gazette on the 29th of January 2025 for general information. The department working with the National NHBRC are in a process of developing draft regulations which, upon their approval, will operationalize the Act. And the first draft regulations will be ready for consultation, internal consultation, in the third quarter 2025-2026 financial year. The draft regulations will be presented to the Portfolio Committee on the fourth quarter of 2026-2027 financial year. Well, the legislative process of the regulations will be shorter compared to the bill process due to the fact that the Parliament has delegated the powers of the approval to the minister, and therefore the process excludes the submission of regulations to Parliament, which will, or rather the similar process where the Parliament will then have to do the public hearings and so on. Only Cabinet will approve, and the Parliament will be provided to Parliament for noting. Next slide. In the recommendation, it is recommended that the Portfolio Committee note the update on the development of the Human Settlement Bill and the regulations under Housing Consumer Protection Act 2024. Thank you, honorable members.
Thank you very much. Is there any addition? DG? DDG? DM?
No additions on my part, Chairperson. Thank you.
We good, Chair.
Okay. Honorable member. Thank you, DM. Honorable members, there is a first presentation. Do we have questions or inputs? Can I see hand? It was just a briefing on a process that will be followed. I don't see hands. It means, oh, Honorable Frenchman.
Oops.
Continue.
Okay, sorry, Chairperson, something else came up. Okay, thank you, Chairperson, and greetings to all present. Chairperson, I stand to be corrected on my question. Maybe I just need some advice or guidance on it. With regards to the title deeds, are the title deeds that's being handed out currently for the CRUs? And what happens when a municipality is responsible for upgrading and fixing the CRUs, which in a lot of cases hasn't been done, and the CRUs is dilapidated and it needs fixing? So once that person living in those CRUs, once they receive their title deed, are they then responsible for upgrading their own home and fixing their own home, while the municipality has received money to fix the CRUs and it hasn't been done yet? I just need clarity. Maybe I'm wrong, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kakakilwe.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, DM and the delegations, and DG and the delegations, and our support staff. I only have one question with regard to the finalization of the process. My question is it not possible that this matter can be speed up, not to target that it will be finalized at the last quarter of the next financial year? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Abada.
Good morning, Chair. Thank you for the opportunity. I just, this is something that's been going on, with the title deeds. I just want to know, why is it, taking so long? Because we've been through this. We've done, we've gotten the presentations. We've been told that it's going to go forward, but nothing seems to be going forward. We're sitting at the same where we were. We're basically sitting where we were. So all I'm saying is, can we speed up this process? Can we give our people the dignity that they require? I know the minister spoke about this, that we need to, sorry, the deputy minister spoke about this, that we need to bring dignity to our people. And this, unfortunately, it's, for a lot of people, may just sound like a piece of paper, but that piece of paper to our people means everything to them. Without that piece of paper, they feel they're nothing. So all I'm asking is, can we speed up this process? Thank you, Chair.
Deputy Minister DM. DG.
The DG will take the responses.
DG.
Chairperson, thank you very much. Just to indicate that the matters raised will be, I think, the ones pertaining to title deeds. We are still to make a presentation on the title deeds, but however, just as a quick response is that, yes, indeed, we share in the viewpoints and the assertions of Honorable Abada that we've got to move with speed in resolving the matters of the title deeds. And I think when we do present, we will show the current interventions we are dealing with to try and speed up the process, and also to resolve some of the most complex issues, because if it was a straightforward matter of taking a title deed from file and giving it to the beneficiary, I think by now we'll be done with that process. But however, we do know that title deeds can only be issued in areas where there has been formalized establishments, and that municipalities and councils have done what they are required to do, and failing which the bulk of the title deeds we are currently dealing with and which are holding us back are title deeds that have to do, Chairperson, with very complex matters related to township establishments, and also where the timelines for the current Act, Section 10 thereof, prohibits that we can actually issue those. What we are aware and we are trying to resolve quickly, and the minister has directed that we effectively go back to Title Deed Fridays, and we move with speed relative to that campaign, is on the title deeds that are on hand within municipalities that are ready to be delivered, and that can actually be delivered immediately. And that there we share with Honorable Abada's assertion that we do all in our power to get those municipalities to issue this title deeds to the beneficiaries as they are on hand and they can actually be handed over. They do not have any associated challenges with them. As it relates to the matter raised by Honorable Frenchman, in this regard, I think one could indicate that when we do make the presentation, I think it will come through. But the most important part is that there were previously CRUs have been upgraded, and those have been converted to family units. And those family units, in some instances, title deeds have been issued relative to that. We do know that the CRU program became a bit stalled, but we think that with the interventions we have now made, allowing metros and municipalities to be able to spend up to about 5% of the grant on the CRU's upgrading program, that they are now in a position to elect to do so. So the prioritization is still left with councils on what to build, but what we have now made is a enabling financial mechanism that will allow them to proceed with such. Will Section 10A and B be applicable to the converted CRU units into family units? Certainly, the law still extends to those, and we are clear that that preemptive clause within the law is what we are reviewing, as Paul Masamula has highlighted, that we are reviewing that clause, and that in the Human Settlements Bill, we are looking at ways in which we can still protect the investment of the state, but without the system that seeks to criminalize everybody that are in the system and that may have sold the houses prior to the pre-enacted timeline. So I think, given those considerations, Chair, we are clear that the issues of the CRUs are part to the entire housing stock, and they are bound by this clause, and that once the clause has been dealt away with, we will then be able to. So, in respect of the Act itself, and that's how quickly we can bring it to Parliament, the procedure of lawmaking in our republic is quite well laid out, and I think over the years, the bills that have been set aside by the Constitutional Court, a body of jurisprudence has been enriched in that regard, to the extent that we now can move with greater certainty, knowing what we ought to do and what would constitute sufficient consultation and what would not be considered as sufficient consultation. And it is important that we actually stick by those guidelines, and we also stick by the guidelines of Cabinet, including the timelines regulated for us to consult widely. And with the symposiums that we have had, they were the first of the many, considering the several chapters that will go into this housing settlements, human settlements bill. We are required, in effect, to follow those strictures of timelines. We can't jump stages and we can't shorten the period. We are very clear that we'll have to follow it through, and it will come. We are trying to stick as much as possible, and on our part, not to have any delays relative to what is actually in the guidelines. And we are sticking to those timelines, and we are continuously consulting the sector as well as stakeholders on the different aspects of this bill. And we will, when we are due, as we have indicated, timelines of 2026, that's when we think first we will be able to approach Cabinet with it after all the consultations have taken place. It is unfortunate that this is a process we can't hurry up or rush, lest later on it be set aside by the courts because we haven't done what we're required to do as procedurally laid out. So as it is, Chairman, I think that is the only part that even if we had wished to bring it as an emergency bill, this one will not qualify as such, and it will not be considered as such. It will have to follow the entire process as laid out. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, DG. Honorable Poole.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Honorable Deputy Minister, as well DG and his team and honorable members. DG has covered me largely with the last input, but my concern is I think the reason for this bill is to come up with a bill or act that speaks to the problems within human settlements on local level and the daily challenges councillors are dealing with. And the presentation referred to 2 symposiums held by the department to gather some input they can use to come up and draft a straightforward bill speaking to that challenges. My question is whether the inputs gathered in the 2 symposiums speaking to that ordinary challenges they as councillors daily work with, and is it possible to get a list of these inputs as a committee to see if our constituencies' problems is part and covered in the bill? Thank you, sir, Chair.
Thank you. DG.
Chairperson, indeed, I think we could share. We would have loved to invite the committee. In fact, we had mulled and twirled with the idea, but the strictures of the separation of powers, that doctrine, we had felt that there will be a time where we have to come to Parliament with all the inputs and all of that when we do table Parliament, the bill before Parliament. And then the bill, for the moment, once tabled, gets out of our hands, and it is a parliamentary process, and Parliament calls its own public hearings and tests the veracity of what we have put in, and whether indeed it tests whether the stakeholders were indeed consulted on the things that are in there, and Parliament has its own right to differ with what is contained therein or otherwise, and to make its own additions and to also outline its own processes relative to how the bill will be brought to finality. Now, Chair, if of interest, we are requested to provide the outcomes of the seminars or the symposia, we will do so, because that is not the only platform on which we are consulting relative to the bill. We are consulting widely, and we have also remembered, Chair, that the first part of this bill was the green paper, in which we had the intra-governmental consultations. We then had a white paper, which became the policy document and the basis on which the bill will be informed. So the white paper process too, we had consulted widely on these matters, on matters that we are now trying to feed into the bill. And we did come to Parliament to also report on the outcomes of that white paper process. We do not have a problem with briefing. If the specific thing is these 2 symposia, we can also brief the committee on the outcomes. But ideally, we should be briefing the committee when we are done with the consultation process and we have a full body of the inputs that we require, and they are therein. And when we do brief the committee on the early processes of the bill, even before we table it, and once we have tabled it, it then becomes the baby of the portfolio committee, if I can put it that way. So yes, the answer directly is that we do not have a problem sharing the outcomes. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I think we are done with the first presentation. DG, can we immediately move to the second presentation that deals with the title deeds?
Indeed, Chair, and I would invite DDG Nakadumalisile, who will be supported by Mr. Mielane Ntlama, to present on this bill, on this title deed update and to inform the committee where we are relative to the processes of interventions in resolving the title deed challenge that we have and the key activities we're involved in. And we also, Chair, at a high level, welcome the intervention by both Presidency and National Treasury through Operation Vulindlela to also have a key focus and collaboration work with us on the title deeds matters and to resolve on those key sticky title deed matters. And we think that with that muscle, we will be able to be helped with troubleshooting in key areas where we have been struggling, particularly in gaining waivers and in gaining all the other interventions we are seeking on the ground. Thank you very much, Chair. I will invite my colleagues to then make the presentation to the committee.
The Honorable Chairperson, Honorable members of the Portfolio Committee, the Honorable DM, and the colleagues on the Title Deeds Chairperson, we will be supported by Ms. Luen Vernon. Mr. Mialan Tlemo will then support the DG and myself and the team with regards to the presentation on accreditation of municipalities. Luen, if you would be brief enough on this presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairperson and members of the Human Settlements Portfolio Committee. Good morning, Deputy Minister of Human Settlements, our DG, and colleagues on the platform. Here, the purpose of this morning's presentation is to just appraise the committee of the interventions taken at the level of MINEC to assist with two particular sticky problems on the title restoration project, which is township establishment and conveyancing. To appraise the committee of the medium-term development plan targets of provinces and present the performance against those targets of provinces, to present to the committee how we are doing with regards to issuing title deeds to beneficiaries, and the symposiums on titling to present some of the outcomes thereof. Thank you, Chair. Next slide. Chairperson, the committee has been briefed previously about our difficulty with resolving the issue of outstanding township establishment. It starts with the provision of bulk services in townships by municipalities where the function constitutionally resides. Now, if you do not have bulk services, then you cannot formalize the township. The human settlement budget does not stretch as far as to deal with the bulk. Just in terms of the projects that we are responsible for, we have done a rudimentary costing, Chairperson, and to resolve bulk in the sector affected by title deeds would cost us in excess of 28 billion rand. So without the bulk, SPLUMA does not then permit you to get approval for township establishment. So we really cannot move other than to ask for certain waivers in that regard. The reality is that these townships are already there. They've been existing for more than 20 years. You have not provided bulk, and now as a result of that, you can't formalize the township, and you can also not provide title and ownership. So you're double punishing those communities basically as a result of failures of local government. And so this is the waivers we are asking for in terms of SPLUMA. We are saying to the Department of Rural Development and Land Reform that administers this piece of legislation, for those townships, can you waive that requirement in the regulations that asks for bulk and certain standards of services, internal services to be provided, so that we can go ahead and formalize without bulk, and then in that way be able to issue title. The other one, Chairperson, that is also very sticky is the one around the National Environmental Management Act. I think we can move to the next slide, Kosi, which asks for us to do an environmental impact assessment because the development of housing is a listed activity. Now, the whole purpose of the environmental impact assessment is a precautionary measure to protect the environment against potential harmful development. In our case, those human settlements are already there. So at this point, to ask us to do, it's a lengthy process, it's expensive, it's time consuming, it's public participatory intensive, but to ask us to undertake that process in order to formalize the township has become irrelevant because the impact of the human settlement has been there already. There are no precautions to be taken in this regard. So Minmek then mandated Minister of Human Settlements in October 2024 and asked us to specifically ask for these two exemptions, one in terms of SPLUMA and the other one in terms of NEMA. The SPLUMA Act does allow the Minister of Rural Development to grant any exemption under the Act. In terms of NEMA, there's unfortunately no exemption, but we are relying on good common sense in that regard, Chairperson. We can move to the next slide. So we drafted those correspondences in November after consultation with those departments, specifically Rural Development and Environmental Affairs. And then we had a change over in ministry. And in March, we did follow up correspondence after we brought the new minister has been briefed over what we are doing and why we are doing it. And so we are waiting feedback on that. But if we do get the waivers, the SPLUMA waivers, Chair, we have the view that 398,000 households that are sitting in such unproclaimed townships will have paved the way to get them to a position of ownership much sooner than it has been dragging. We can move to the next slide, and then the next one. So in this regard, we also consulted with the Department of Cooperative Governance, who is responsible for local government that administers the planning function. And we have asked for SALGA to also buy in at the time those waivers are granted. Chairperson Minmek then raised an interesting phenomenon that we've observed in the sector in the October Minmek, and we are noticing that conveyancers are beginning to be reluctant to undertake government projects, conveyancing projects. That's the relatively easy part, where you verify the beneficiary and collect the documents and then prepare it for lodgement at the deeds office. So the issue there is that the fees we are paying in terms of conveyancing is regarded as being very low. So the conveyancing cost is provided for in the subsidy quantum, Chairperson. There's an amount of 735 Rand to verify the beneficiary, and then the fee that goes to the conveyancer has been pegged at 1,350 Rand. So we then consulted within the sector, and we also looked at what's going on in the private sector. In the private sector, the Law Society determines the conveyancing fee on the basis of the market value of the house. Our basic 40 square meter unit currently costed at 183,000. If you were to apply the Law Society rate, that would bring the transfer amount to 10,000 Rand per transfer. Now, from the 2,000 Rand that we are paying to 10,000 is a really long shot, Chair, and that would inevitably reduce our output on title deeds annually. The money that provinces appropriate for the title restoration project has become less and less over the years, and I think when we did the presentation on the business plans to the portfolio committee in March, we demonstrated how this is becoming less of a priority in terms of budget. So if you then increase the unit cost of a title deed, it has the potential to then curb your output on the numbers fairly significantly. We then consulted and came to a rate of about 2,750, which is basically doubling the conveyancing fee that would be acceptable in the sense of social responsibility. That is what the provinces felt that would be a reasonable fee for the work done by conveyancers in our sector. So this is then a proposal along with all of the other remedial work that comes in on titling, such as cancellation of bonds, rectifications on title deeds, replacing lost title deeds, replacing mother heir titles, all of those remedial work that we now have to do retrospectively. MINMEC will then be considering a comprehensive schedule for funding the project appropriately. Needless to say, this forms part of the normal subsidy quantum review, and then those cost items will then be reflected within the subsidy quantum as it relates to the house. Chairperson, these sentiments were also expressed by the symposiums that our colleagues were referring to. This brings us to the planning for this project over the next 5 years, the medium-term development plan. Those targets are set at 80,000 for the sector over the 5 years, with the annual targets being broken down as demonstrated, Chairperson. We started contributing to the MTDP in the last financial year, 24-25, and the provinces collectively achieved 17,359. Our concern are those 5 provinces in red, Chairperson, between Gauteng and KZN. They constitute the biggest part of the backlog, and they've not achieved the annual target allocated to them. We are looking at options. We are particularly concerned about Eastern Cape and Free State as well as KZN, where the output has diminished over the last couple of years, last 3 years. We are considering various support alternatives for those provinces in the form of either what we used to have as PDFs or implementation protocols with the HDAs. We are also considering initiatives with the metropolitan municipalities to see if we cannot get the metropolitan municipalities to augment the performance of provinces where we have concerns through the USDG. Chairperson, the presentation has disappeared.
Kosi, the presentation has disappeared. Secretary Kosi.
Hello, Chair.
Can you assist with the presentation? It has disappeared.
Okay. Luan, you also have co-hosting, right? Can you please fly to the presentation?
I can fly. Just get a minute. Is it visible now?
Yes.
It is.
Chairperson, this then just demonstrates to the committee we've been doing quarterly updates on how provinces have performed during the year under review. So this one is just confirming the performance of provinces over the year under review. Chairperson, when it comes to the issuing of title deeds, we've always also reported to the committee on how we're doing. This is the title deeds on hand and how we're doing in terms of the Title Deed Friday campaign. We monitor these figures quarterly. It did lose some momentum in some of the provinces following the change in administration last year, but MINMEC has resolved to intensify their efforts from the 90,000 we had at the start of the campaign, Chair. By the end of March, we've now issued 67,085 to the to beneficiaries in the different provinces, as indicated. There is a steady flow of title deeds being issued every quarter, Chairperson. If you reflect back on the quarterly performance for this quarter, we did 6,005. This then shows where the title deeds have been registered and are now available for issuing. Chairperson, you'll see from in KZN from where the title deeds were registered, why we are concerned. It's happening around eThekwini, and it's mainly sectional titles. And then Msunduzi, it appears that nothing is happening in the remainder of the province. And then, so what we have, what we are presenting here is that it's not that we are not doing anything on title deeds. There's a steady flow of title deeds being registered every quarter amidst the challenges and the difficulties. And this, sometimes we look at the numbers, but we thought this round we will demonstrate to the committee exactly where we are saying those title deeds have been registered. So it's countrywide, Chairperson, across 57 municipalities just in one quarter. So work is ongoing. It's not that we are where we were last year. Work is continuing in this regard, despite the challenges that we are facing. Chairperson, I don't want to venture a lot into the symposiums. Mr. Masemola has talked about it quite extensively. But in terms of the titling symposium, I think the discussions there, Chairperson, has confirmed the challenges that we've identified as a sector. It has recommended some initiatives that we are busy undertaking with regards to digitalization, partnerships, the waivers, and the cost of the conveyancing issues that came out in the symposiums also very strongly. But they have also made some new proposals for partnerships and negotiations. Chairperson, there were related issues raised at the symposium that the department is participating in those initiatives, but we are very careful because we are concerned that it may extend beyond our primary mandate. For example, the transactional support centers for informal sales that ventures and brings us into the secondary market, which is not really the core of our mandate. And then rural land ownership administration insofar as it relates to changes in the legislation by the Department of Rural Development and Land Reform. This was just the focus areas of the symposium. Important for us as a policy-making department is that there were policy changes that were proposed and reforms that we need to unlock. So in terms of titling and the way forward from those symposiums, Chairperson, there is a need to review some of our policy instruments, the subsidy quantum in particular, look at how we're going to deal with ownership and rapid land release programs that often do not follow the conventional methods of proclamation. Service stands, capacity building and professionalization. We need to look at a comprehensive urban land policy and working towards that. But there's also a greater need to raise more awareness, to educate our consumers and beneficiaries around issues of property ownership a lot more, and where they can get assistance to deal with certain things like deceased estates, etc. So those are the parts of the project that needs to be contained in a policy directive, Chair. There are some stakeholder mapping exercises that we are undertaking and partnerships that we need to develop, and those have been identified. Another issue that came out, which is the smaller states threshold. It's really a Department of Justice matter and a matter for the National Treasury. It's a tax-related issue, but we do see that from this point of view and how the title restoration project is supposed to deal with deceased estates, where primary title has not been issued, there is a role for us to play there. Chairperson, then there is a need to undertake more legal, economic, and social social research on housing and human settlements, and particularly the issue of why people are selling their houses and why they are selling them so cheaply, so that we are able to respond to those, because that also contributes to the challenges we have on the title restoration project. And then there was a call for the revision of the sale restriction clause, which Mr. Masemola has also alluded to earlier. Chair, we really just recommend that the committee notes and supports MANEC's interventions to deal with the two sticky issues now, which is township establishment and conveyancing. That the committee notes the targets and the performance of the provinces in the first year of the MTBP, and appreciate that 5 out of 9 provinces are unlikely to achieve their targets if not given additional support. That the committee notes and supports the consistent issuing of title deeds to beneficiaries and recognizes that on a quarterly basis, consistently, despite the difficulties, title deeds are being registered. Also that the committee notes and supports the key actions that we've identified as outcomes of the symposium as it relates to titling and tenure security. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Can I get honorable members, if you have questions or inputs to the presentation? Honorable Dlamini, followed by Honorable Ditebe. I will later come back to Honorable Magagula and Honorable Karakilwe. Let's start with Honorable Dlamini, followed by Honorable Ditebe. Honorable Dlamini.
Thank you very much, Chair. Greetings to the meeting at large. My name is Mbali Dlamini, deployed by the Economic Freedom Fighters. Chair, with regards to the issues of title deeds, it's starting to feel like part of the delays are that there's lack of political will to actually deal with the backlog, and in more particular, deal with the fact that people need their title deeds to be issued out. Municipalities, land reform, environmental affairs, all these are government departments. Even when we speak about bulk infrastructure and the issuing out of SPLUMA and then formalizing land parcels, it's really all under government. And the one thing that we can all agree to is that there's just no political will. And if there was, we would have made even greater progress, because officials alone can't be expected to fix the issue of title deeds, but there's no support politically and from all these departments. Previously, when we were speaking about the issues of title deeds, we've asked that what were the engagements with the relevant departments and what is it so far, and what were the responses? Ministers sit in the executive with the president, all of them, and we hear that they would be in meetings on a regular basis, and I can't get why there can't be conclusions that are reached in that regard. So that's the first comment. The second one would be that this also speaks to the importance of building state capacity. I mean, why can't it would be so nice if we had a caring government, if we were to insource like conveyances into the department, and that would mitigate some of the costs and the prolonging of processes. If some of the people that, or some of the professions that are required to have all these documentations in order, just insourced into government departments. And then I think for me, I need clarity on the MTDP that highlights KZN, Free State, Gauteng, and Limpopo in red. Does it mean that those are the numbers of title deeds that they have on hand with them, but they are not issued out. Because when we went to the Free State for oversight, we did try to ask that the municipalities that we went to, how many title deeds do they have with them, but they have not issued out, and what would the problems be? And does the department then take back, is there a time period where you say, if you have not issued out title deeds that you have on hand at this particular time, then we retract, we take them back, and maybe try to get access to the people that need their title deeds directly instead of bypassing the whole municipal system? Because to sit here, we know that municipalities change administration and all of that. And what guarantee do we have that they still have, so on record, none have been lost, they still have them in the same quantity that they received them in, or like for record keeping purposes? And then lastly, Chair, I think what's occupying my mind the most today, even though it's not part of the agenda, is the floods that are currently happening in the Eastern Cape. And if the DG has a response with him currently, it would be lovely to hear what the Department of Human Settlements is doing. We do know that areas in Mthatha, such as West Slovo Park, Numa, which is Butterworth, the informal settlement in Skiti, people have been displaced there. They are now in halls. Also, Eugene, temporary houses have been affected by the floods. Port St. John's, Ward 6 as well has been affected. Currently, as we sit now, when we are in this meeting, has the department deployed people to the Eastern Cape? What is the Department of Human Settlements in the Eastern Cape saying? And when can we expect at least the first phase of relief to these families are coming in? And that'll be it on my side, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable.
Good morning, Chairperson, to you, colleagues, Deputy Minister, DG, and team. Chairperson, may I also echo the same sentiments as Honorable Dlamini. Indeed, I think the committee should express its condolences to the 7 families that have lost their loved ones in these disastrous floods, and the over 300,000 people that have been affected by these floods. All the time we know that our department, and of course it doesn't act alone, acting with COCTA and other departments, is the most affected from the point of view of human and material resources. So we hope that indeed acting through the disaster structures, the department will indeed be able to assist there and resettle those of our people that have been so adversely affected by what clearly is an act of climate change, with what we are seeing not only in South Africa but elsewhere in the world, going as far back as 2022 and so forth. So, Chairperson, on the questions, with the recognition in terms of the presentation that the Free State, KZN, Limpopo, Gauteng Province, and the Eastern Cape will not be able to meet their MTDP targets, what kind of support in the recommendations the presentation says that these provinces will require additional support? What does that entail? Does it entail any like support from the portfolio committee? Certainly, those provinces would have been allocated resources in as much as they may be not limitless. But what kind of support is the department expecting that it gets in order for these provinces to be accelerated? On the issue of the the sale restriction clause. Currently, it's 8 years. Now, I'm not hearing clearly what the recommendation is based on what came out of the symposium, so that we then deal with the issue of title on the part of the people. The last one, Chairperson, where I come from, and that is the Free State in my municipality, Machabeng, you will know that a number of municipalities owe utilities such as Eskom, water boards, etc. Now, in respect of Eskom, that 6 billion rand plus debt, at one point the municipality got one of the law firms to identify pieces of land, and these being, as you would know, farms. In the past, municipalities would own pieces of land, farms, etc. And it so happened that in some of the areas, and DG referred to housing stock that predates 1994, and these in the main would be people that would have built themselves those houses, and at that time they would not have procured title deeds, etc. But then what happened in the case of Machabeng is that when this particular law firm consolidated land that the municipality supposedly owned as some kind of suretyship to be then handed over to Eskom, that is in lieu of the debt that it owes Eskom, that is the municipality. A number of houses that belong to ordinary people were then put in as part of that whole deal. And I've had people come to me say they would like to arrange for title deeds and to have wills and so forth, but they are unable to do so. So is there something that the department could do to help these people, although it is at a municipal level, but using what instruments there are? Is there something that can be done? As far as I'm aware, for years now, those people's properties are encumbered in that whole arrangement, which the municipality calls, pockets of farms. But in reality, that includes properties of people, which of course properties do not have title deeds, but they belong to those people nonetheless. So those would be my questions, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you. DG? And your team?
Chairman, thank you very much. And just to indicate that the DM is here, she can speak about the political will of cabinet to get these matters done. But we as a department can attest to the fact that that will is there, considering the fact that the democratic government all through the years and even now in the 7th administration through the MTDP has set clear targets relative to the issuance of title deeds and how many must be issued in the term of the 7th administration as a bare minimum, as a target that needs to be met. We too have all intentions as a department to meet those targets, and I would not go into the speculation whether there is will or not. We as a department will work on a basis of the title deeds targets that have been set for us, and we will share with the committee our plans as we have done to resolve on the sticky issues relative to this. I think for us, where we are, the honeymoon is over. The time of issuing title deeds that were the low-hanging fruits is over. Right now, we are in a phase where we are dealing with the heavy lifting of the title deeds that are quite difficult and that are mired by several challenges, and mostly issues of financing around conveyancing fees. And we have had several communication, including several engagements with associations of conveyancers. And we have also looked at the possibility of upward revision of finances and what impact this would have on it. Currently, the current dispensation means that we are paying also for the title deeds for RDP houses, which we have been doing. Where I'm sitting as an official within the department, I'm asking myself how government had locked itself into such a quagmire, because we could have exempted RDP houses or BNG houses from this requirement, and we could have gotten a special exemption. And even if it meant revision of the law, that's what should have happened. And it's a matter we're still pursuing today. We're also still pursuing a matter with SARS relative to whether we should be paying VAT and government paying itself on the construction of houses, because we would imagine what this would do, more so considering budget cuts, if we were to return 15% back into the kitty to build more houses. That's what needs to be pursued. So these challenges are there, but we are committed towards achieving the targets as set by the 7th administration to us for this purpose. The other key matter, Chair, that has been raised and which I think needs attention is the fact that we have a varied or differentiated challenges that beset the issuance of title deeds. We have disaggregated this. We have gone into detail about it. And where we believe that different interventions require a different approach, we have already initiated those interventions in this regard. Chair, I need to hasten to also indicate that the intra-governmental consultations that are there are important to happen, and to happen in a manner that it is happening, so that the intricacies around legalities and who administer which law and to what extent can there be the wider interpretation we are applying to the laws that are not in the purview of our department, but in the purview of other departments, and what we are seeking out of that, where that department tells us that it requires an in-depth look and a regulatory impact assessment in that regard. We've got to respect what those departments are doing, but we are obviously applying the pressure. We are obviously continuously lobbying for this to happen. And if the title deed matter wasn't taken that seriously, as I've indicated, Chair, Operation Vulindlela would not have taken up the matter as one of the key areas of focus that the 7th administration would look into. And therefore, as I've indicated, we think that this may be a catalyst for us to be able to resolve, even on this intra-governmental consultations and intra-governmental dependencies. We think that Operation Vulindlela will help us troubleshoot areas, particularly where it's taking a bit longer, either for decisions to be made or for the enabling mechanisms to be put in place. And so consequently, one needs to hasten to say that the collaborative effort that we have and the workshop we have now planned with Operation Vulindlela to look at the solutions at hand that are being propositioned by our department, to what extent and what impact they would have to the majority of the title deeds that are held backwards by lack of township establishment approvals at various municipalities, that they can be able to help us with that. Thank you very much.
DG, there was a question on the current floods in the Eastern Cape as per yesterday's rain.
Chair, thank you very much. As it is usual, we participate in the National Joint Flood Committee, and we participated in it last night. And we as is custom, and it is part of our framework, we then do deploy our staff in emergency housing to the ground, and we then follow the framework in as far as the services we need to provide, including registration of beneficiaries and their verification, as well as provision of temporary emergency accommodation where qualifying beneficiaries are available, and where also we are required to provide other services inclusive of TRUs. So we will still follow the same when it relates to that one, and we will get a report by today as to the extent and the state of the disaster, and we will then look at those interventions. We are also talking with the provincial government and our counterparts in the province relative to this, and the council itself and councils that are impacted by this. So we will by later today be having a much more clearer picture of the interventions that are being sought and what we need to do. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Magagula, followed by Honorable Karakilo.
Thank you, Chairperson, and questions to all on the platform. Chairperson, my contribution or my input, it's not a question, it's an input on the issue of the title deed, issuing of title deeds, because they are issued sometimes by different or municipalities, but there's no uniform in terms of the issuing of the title deeds. So that causes a delay and a backlog in terms of issuing. Can the department also look into creating a policy which will be uniform on issuing of the title deeds? Because some they issued monthly, some weekly, some maybe quarterly, sometimes they don't issue at any title deed. So maybe if we can have a uniform in terms of which will be provided to the municipalities, so that it can speed up the process of issuing the issue of title deeds. In some areas, they're given to councillors, and sometimes those councillors don't issue them, and they wait until the next election is nearing. Then they try to issue those title deeds. So if we can have a uniform, I think that will assist. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Krakil.
Thank you, Chair, and let me welcome the presentation. Chair, from the presentation, the slide on the issuing of title deeds, all provinces except Gauteng, according to that slide, they stopped issuing title deeds in December 2024. And on the very same slide, the introduction part indicated that the provinces are monitored quarterly by the department. So my question is, if they are monitored quarterly, and for they stopped issuing title deeds in December, and then for the last quarter there was nothing issued, what did the department do upon realizing that the provinces stopped issuing their title deeds? Because the presentation is on cumulative. If you can look at the title deeds for December and for the first quarter, they are the same. I mean, for up to March, they are the same. And another thing, there's a contradiction between the slides of issuing the title deeds and the following one on quarterly things. I'm not sure if they omitted the fourth quarter in the top slides of cumulative figures, because most of the provinces, they did issue, but according to the cumulative slide, those numbers are not reflected. Thank you, that Chair. I think that was my concern. And then the last thing, Chair, I propose that because the presentation indicated that we should accept the recommendations, I propose that the committee accept all those recommendations as presented by the department. Thank you.
Thank you. DG?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. And thanks to Honorable Member Khakilwe. The observation relative to this, I think we would need to update the report and the numbers. For instance, we can confirm that we know that in the area of Klerksdorp, of recent title deeds were issued to families there.
You are muted, DG.
Oh, my apologies, Chairperson. Chair, thank you very much, and thanks to Honorable Khakilwe for the question. I think the observation of Honorable Khakilwe relative to what the presentation is saying is correct. We need to, however, commit that will update the presentation and provide additional information once we have rounded up the provinces. We have done so, and the matter again is on the agenda of our technical min-mac, which is scheduled to take place at the end of June, to look into this matter and generally the campaign to actually fast-track the issuance of title deeds, particularly the ones on hand, as I've indicated. And Minister has directed that we bring back a uniformity of approach, which Honorable Magagula is calling for, and that that uniformity of approach come back in a campaign that is a weekly campaign for each municipality that has title deeds on hand to issue them, and that this be issued weekly, whether be it mayors, MECs, or councillors, or whoever is in authority that can be able to issue, that they do so. They issue without even the National Department being present, that we make it we bring back the campaign of a title deed Fridays, every Friday that the title deeds get issued to members. And we are also aware of the observation that Honorable Khakilwe is saying, and as I've indicated, we will update this, and because I can attest to the fact that we know that some provinces are issuing title deeds. For instance, we know that recently in Klerksdorp, in the Northwest, the title deeds were issued. We also know that in Limpopo and Eastern Cape, title deeds have also been issued. We would need to bring this information once it has been consolidated and once it has served at the technical min-mac. At the end of the month, we would then be having a clearer picture of what has since happened since the last reporting cycle, as we have had it. And indeed, we do monitor them quarterly, but where we do not get the reports on time, this impact on the quality of the reportage that subsequently we make. We also believe this is a matter that Operation Vulindlela will also help us with, because we are proposing a system. And as you know, we are busy with the human settlements system on a wide. One of the modules in there is the one on title deeds, which we think it will aid in better reporting going forward once the modules have been institutionalized. I will ask our colleague Luan to respond to the issue of the observation around the contradictions in numbers pertaining to the issued title deeds vis-a-vis the ones on monitoring slides. With your indulgence, Chair.
Luan?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, TG. Chairperson, there isn't really a contradiction, Honorable Member. The title deeds that we are issuing are those ones who've been lying in offices for years. And that's the progress that we are giving the committee in terms of slide 11. Now, we do monitor quarterly, so our report is up until 31 March. Whatever happened after 31 March, we'll get an update on the 30th of June again. We'll have a new update. In cases where provinces are not issuing, we do raise it in the various reporting platforms. In the past, the Minister of Human Settlements have written to MECs and those mayors where those title deeds are stuck to request them in terms of what we are doing to get these title deeds out. So these constitute old title deeds. But remember, while we have title deeds that are sitting in municipal and provincial offices that must just be given to beneficiaries, we also have title deeds that must be registered in the deeds registry. And that's what the slides 12, 13, and 14 refers to. So the one is about, the first slide refers to the issuing of title deeds. And then the next slide refers to what have we registered in the deeds office, that when we collect them there is now ready for issuing and in which municipalities. So there isn't really a contradiction there. It only adds to the number of title deeds on hand that is now available for issuing. I think this is the point that we're trying to make to the committee, that while we've got title deeds sitting in offices waiting to be given to beneficiaries, we are continuing the work with unlocking those that need to be registered in the deeds office first. I think that was the only one, DG.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm getting a call from Parliament that we need to show our faces. Let's start doing that. Honorable Gamete, followed by Honorable Poole.
Chairperson, my hand is up. I wanted to do a follow-up.
Honorable Khakilo.
Chairperson, thank you. I do not agree with Melian when he said there is no contradiction, because the slide indicating the fourth quarter is up to March. So those figures are not included under the cumulative numbers. That is what I was trying to say. Because according to the cumulative slide, most figures are the same as those at the end of December. So, but otherwise, the DG has responded well. But I don't agree with the latter speaker. Thank you.
All right. Honorable Gamede.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much. Let me start by making my comment from
Honorable Gamede.
Yes, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, but in terms of the what photo is that behind you?
It's myself and
the background.
It's myself and the former president.
Okay, now continue.
You see?
Continue.
No, it's not a logo of the MK. There's no logo of the MK there. I'm aware.
All right.
Okay. No, thank you very much. No, DG and okay. Greetings to the Deputy Minister, DG, and the team from the department, the whole team from the department. Greetings to my fellow colleagues, members of the Portfolio Committee, and also to our staff. Greetings to you all. Let me first welcome the presentation. My comment would be to say the repeated delays and lack of replies from the relevant ministers regarding the requested exemptions from SPLUMA and NEMA provisions, despite the clear negative impact on township formalization and property ownership for disadvantaged communities, indicate a significant interdepartmental communication and coordination challenge that needs urgent resolution to prevent further stagnation of the title deed restoration project. My first question, I've got only two questions, Chairperson. My first question would be, given that several legal instruments such as the Development Facilitation Act and the Less Formation Township Establishment Act have been repealed, and current legislation like SPLUMA and NEMA presents significant barriers to township formalization, what comprehensive strategy is being developed to address the systemic issues that lead to human settlements projects being undertaken without proper planning, approvals, and township proclamations in the first place, rather than solely seeking exemptions after the fact? My second and the last one, the documents highlights that conveyancers are reluctant to undertake public sector title deed registration due to profitability concerns. Labantu bathanda imali madoda, bahlale bebheka i-profits nje njalo. And the current subsidy quantum for transfer costs is significantly lower than the Law Society's guideline amount. Beyond proposing an amendment to current conveyancing rates, what broader strategies are being explored to incentivize conveyancers to participate in public sector projects and ensure the long-term financial viability of title deed registrations for both public and private sector? Chairperson, I also want to concur with my honorable, I almost said my honorable comrade, the honorable member, honorable Mebet, based on your recommendation. But I just wanted to add a little bit. My recommendation to the Department of Settlement, in collaboration with the MINMAC, is to establish a dedicated interministerial task force with clear timelines and accountability mechanisms to actively pursue and also secure necessary exemptions from SPLUMA and NEMA, as well as address the systemic financial and logistical impediments to township establishments and conveyancing, ensuring regular progress reports to the Portfolio Committee of Human Settlement. Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Poole.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, let me first say welcome to the presentation and thank you for the DG presenting it. And my few questions, Chair, is the following. The presentation shows that only a few provinces have shown signs to meet their medium-term development plan targets. What are these provinces doing differently in terms of planning, implementation, or intergovernmental coordination that sets them apart from those falling behind? And B, can the department provide a comparative analysis of budget allocations specifically for where the better performing provinces allocated significantly for more resources than those that are unlikely to meet their targets. Chairperson, according to the department's presentation, as of February 2024, plus minus 400,000 households are located in unproclaimed townships, representing 50% of the previous MTSF target. In addition, 251,000 or 100,000 sites lack sufficient or any bulk services. My question is, A, does the figure of plus minus 400,000 households include townships that have already been formally established but are awaiting proclamation? B, if so, do these established townships have sufficient bulk infrastructure in place? C, what is the department's proposed timeframe with clear milestones for addressing the 251,000 sites that currently lack bulk infrastructure necessary to township establishment? Chairperson, we see the presentation and you can observe the delays and the problem if it comes to IGR. My question is, what new communication mechanisms or intergovernmental relations platforms has the department introduced to improve coordination between national, provincial, and municipal spheres, particularly to prevent delays in township establishment? For example, in Drakensberg municipalities, several informal settlements face prolonged delays due to poor intergovernmental coordination. What concrete steps are being taken to resolve such blockages at local level? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. DG?
Chairperson, thank you very much. Just to start with the matter raised by Honorable Gamed, Chairperson, we can indicate that we have done all what has been required to do relative to the current laws to make sure that no new establishments are actually proclaimed without the necessary compliance with SPLUMA and also the necessary compliance with other laws, including bylaws of different municipalities, and where no township establishments have been done. And we have also been very harsh and unforgiving relative to where establishments post-1994, there has been approvals by officials and human settlements practitioners to actually develop new settlements without townships having been proclaimed. This we have frowned upon, we had called for consequences and to be followed, and we had also taken remedial steps to make sure that where this has happened post-1994, that this was remedied and corrected. However, what we are dealing with as a main, it isn't a matter of lack of proper planning, as Honorable Gamed posits it, that why would that be? We're dealing with township establishments pre-1994, and that's where the bulk and the majority of what we are talking about is applicable. So we are trying to clear that backlog inherited from apartheid establishments that were not properly proclaimed, and that's what we are looking at. And Honorable Gamedo also asked, what is our broader strategy to really deal with the issue of conveyances other than simply trying to throw money at the problem. We have been at it engaging, but like I've indicated, wherever permutation you look at, we think that what will be a clearer directive and a clearer indication of where this thing should go and move would be addressed by legislative change. And we seek and we lobby for that. We are not the champions of the law, but we seek to influence our counterparts in government to consider this. Of course, like with many other legislative interventions, one also anticipates as part of your risk management process resistance that may come with it, owing to the fact that once you do this, you actually create a scenario where others who have always benefited from the dispensation think that their rights are being trampled upon. So consequently, however, we think that the strategy should rely first and foremost at legislative intervention and ultimately at better stakeholder management in this regard. Chair, Honorable Poole raises quite important matters. And he says that what do the provinces that succeed at this do better from a planning point of view? And we think that right now, as it is, relative to the title, the laws of the Republic are the same right across the country. What differs is the bylaws at municipal level and how quickly things could turn around, including applications for township establishments and also inclusive of applications for several approvals, environmental impact, and all of those things. And this stems to capacity on a municipality by municipality basis, and also on the provision of the resources right across the board. So the situation is a mixed bag right across the entire length and breadth of the country. But of course, we do see some degree of performance, and we agree with Honorable Poole that where the intergovernmental relations mechanisms are in place and they are effective, progress follows and a better performance follows in that regard. And he then posits a question that says, therefore, what does the National Department do in as far as this is concerned to promote the intergovernmental relations and to promote the coordination mechanisms that will ensure that the intergovernmental framework is functional, it's effective, and most importantly, it efficiently delivers on its promise of delivery for the mandates that are varied. So if effectively our mechanisms are working, and we have instrumentally been utilizing the grant system as a good instrument to foster intergovernmental cooperation and to foster specific national outcomes that are desirable, and to begin to reward performance. And I think if you see what the Treasury is doing with the USDG grant as a start, and later on they will visit the HSDG in the same manner. So with the USDG, we're beginning to put a two-tier allocation system, first tier being guaranteed tier and second tier being accessed based on performance. And this would reward better performance and would reward sound and healthy competition and collaboration between our provinces as well as municipalities, and to ensure that they can access greater resources if they are performing on the resources that are guaranteed and allocated to them. And we think that those are the mechanisms that are in place, and some that are being put in place now with the viewpoint of fostering greater collaboration and better outcomes from a performance point of view. Chair, Honorable Poole also raises the matter of, can we provide as a national government comparative picture across provinces particularly indicative of how much is being budgeted by each province and whether there is a correlation between better budgeting and planning vis-a-vis better outcomes. We will work on this and provide it to the committee as Honorable Poole has requested. We will work on it right away and ensure that we can show that. But if you were to ask us of figures of last year, we could easily provide those to you, showing to you our comparison of which province issued how many title deeds, and we can also provide what we had deemed as the key critical success factors where provinces have largely delivered more than what was targeted. The last matter that he had raised, which, Chair, we believe is important to also respond to and to confirm for him, it's on the issue of the unproclaimed townships. He's correct. Of the title deeds we are dealing with largely in the backlog from the unproclaimed townships, as I've already indicated earlier when responding to Honorable Gamede. And we also confirm that the figure he posits of 200,000 sites, like in bulk, yes, that's the estimate we have, unverified. I'm saying estimate advisedly, knowing very well that we are still to verify the figure, but this is information that comes from provinces and which provinces have given to us and which we had also answered a parliamentary question relative to this, and we had provided those figures as estimated figures. And I wish to emphasize that because it may be that when we verify, either the figure is lesser or it's actually higher. But as it is, that is the figure we're working around, 200,000 sites like in bulk. And he wants to know further, first, whether this is correct. Like I said, it's estimate. And then he also asked whether this is impacted by a lack of bulk. Yes, that's the situation. And then he also says, what then concretely are we doing about this matter? As we have indicated, let me just give a bit of a context. The reason SPLUMA exists is that it protects the citizen from unscrupulous developers that, a housing scheme may be developed on ground and land that has not been tested. SPLUMA seeks to also protect you by ensuring that certain things, including environmental impact assessments, are done prior to an established township being proclaimed. Consequently, our contention relative to what Honorable Poole is raising is that, yes, SPLUMA is good. We must stick by it going forward, and we must do what needs to be done in compliance with SPLUMA on all future projects that we are undertaking. But here we are talking about what happened prior to SPLUMA being actually legislated. So the protections that SPLUMA had sought to protect the citizen with are actually moot, considering the fact that those people are already staying in those unproclaimed townships. Those citizens are already where there has not been an environmental impact when initially the township was built under apartheid, where actually street names did not exist, where actually bulk was not even fully installed in those areas, and even electrification came with democracy. I mean, I'm just belaboring the point to indicate that the protections become moot because, and hence our contention that where people are already resident and they are not about to be moved, those compliance matters will follow them. When bulk does come, it will come and it will find them staying there. Like when electricity came, it found them staying there. And when street names do ultimately come, it will find them there. So we therefore cannot hold back as the democratic government to say we will not issue this until the townships have been proclaimed. We think that this category of unproclaimed townships that happened long before SPLUMA was enacted should be given a special waiver, and we should be able to issue title deeds in those areas. People will own those houses irrespective whether there is a flushing toilet or not. In effect, on the contrary, Chair, if you also think they are relatively affluent communities, people who stay in parks and in other areas that have some share rights and other people who stay on farms and who are farm owners and so on, and who dig their own pit toilets, who do their own things, and they stay, but yet they have title deeds in the same municipalities with no bulk being provided in those areas. There's no bulk water. They dig boreholes and provide boreholes for themselves. They provide their own septic tanks and so on, but yet they own the land and they own the piece of land they are on. And we think that the insistence on not waiving those sections for these communities may amount to plain double standards by the same municipalities, knowing very well that they have also allowed the issuance of title deeds for farming communities, which do not have bulk. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just the last question from me for my clarity. Somewhere in the presentation, it says lawyers are charging a certain percentage in terms of transfer costs, which ultimately means if you want to transfer one BNG house, it will cost around 10,000. If I understood you well, isn't that the Minister of Finance has said there will be no transfer costs for any property costing less than 1 million? DG?
Chairperson, thank you very much. This is a matter now that has been referred to Operation Vulindlela. I'm wary of speaking about it and the applicability of that to what we are talking about until such time we have finished the workshop and we are at idem that is the position, and also until such time our legal services has finished with the State Attorney's Office on the legal opinion relative to that. We may be treading into dangerous waters. We will see what that will mean, because from a taxation point of view and from a deeds office point of view, I think we're talking two separate issues, but we will be advised, and based on the advice, we then can report appropriately to the committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And like Honorable Karakilo said, supported by Honorable Gamede, that the recommendations as captured are supported by the committee, in addition to the recommendations they submitted. Then let's pass this report and go to the last report, which deals with the accreditation of municipalities. Again, 15 minutes. DG?
I wish to request our colleague Mielani Mtremo to come in and make the presentation on our behalf, after which we will gladly engage with the committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and good morning to the chair of the portfolio committee, the members of the portfolio committee, the deputy minister, DG, and colleagues that are here today. Before I start, Chairperson, through your indulgence, may I request that I be allowed to collapse certain slides given the length of the presentation and the slides that are here. In the interest of time, I will do that by highlighting 9 pointers or key issues to foreground and provide the context within which the progress that we're presenting before yourselves needs to be understood and appreciated. Just in the interest of time, and my presentation in terms of progress will then flow from slide 19 to slide 27, if you permit me to do so, Chairperson.
Thank you. Agreed.
Thank you very much. Therefore, Chairperson, I've spoken about that I'll be allowed to just highlight 9 pointers or key issues before I dive into providing the progress. One point that's very much crucial that we're putting forward to the Portfolio Committee is the fact that up until September 2023, when the new accreditation framework was approved by MINMEC, the accreditation framework, the accreditation program was implemented through the accreditation and assignment framework, which was adopted by MINMEC in 2012. The accreditation framework and assignment framework of 2012 was basically premised on the full and permanent function shift from the provincial sphere to the municipalities, as the ultimate goal of that framework. However, and needless to say, the goal or the aim of shifting the function permanently from the provinces to the municipalities presented a number of challenges in terms of the implementation of the program. Chief amongst those was the lack of consensus and support towards the shift of taking the function from the provinces to the municipalities, given the state of many municipalities at that point in time, as some of them were poorly performing on the grants that which were given to them. So these were the basis under which then MINMEC used its wisdom to say that that accreditation framework needs to be revised, and we introduced a new accreditation framework of 2023 through which we are now implementing the accreditation program. It's also important to point out that the accreditation framework, Chair, 2023 is established through the Section 10 of the Housing Act, which gives or empower the national minister to set out norms, standards, and criteria, which must be fulfilled by municipalities and provinces before a municipality is accredited. Chief amongst these criteria was the mechanism that the department introduced in terms of enhancing the criteria so that you can then watertight the entrance of the accreditation program by municipalities. One of those issues was to look at the COCTA State of Local Government report, as well as be driven by the AG's audit report outcome of municipalities. All of these are captured in slides 14 and 15 for your further reading. Further than that, Chair, it's important to mention that the stability of the municipality, the performance of the municipality, as well as the audit report outcome that is done by the AG plays a key role in terms of unlocking the assessment of a municipality or accrediting a municipality. So municipalities do not just simply get accredited on the basis of their application. So there is a tight process that they have to follow. That embedded into it is the criteria that I've already spoken about. Now, Chair, the revised accreditation framework, the new one, shifts away from permanently moving the function from the provinces to municipality by retaining delegation, which is why now we're talking about accreditation and not assignment. And this has been overwhelmingly received by provinces and municipalities that this is the way that which we need to go. The reason being that if you move to the permanent transfer of a function, you might not be able to get it back. So while delegation or accreditation allows the province to rescind or revoke the status of the municipality should the municipality fail to uphold the conditions under which it was accredited. Further than that, the accreditation framework introduces about 6 pillars that strengthen the implementation of the program, and that allows us as a department to interfere or intervene in cases where there are capacity issues, either in the provinces or municipalities. It also, Chair, introduce a differentiated approach by recognizing the fact that municipalities differ as far as their capacity, resource availability, and pressure points are concerned. Therefore, a municipality can be accredited not on the basis of the function, but on the basis of a program that the municipality can be able to implement as determined by the pressure points that which the municipality might be facing within its jurisdiction. It's also important or suffice to mention the fact that after the municipality has been accredited, the new framework recognizes or emphasizes that the relationship between the municipality and the province needs to be governed through some IGR arrangements by signing an implementation protocol, which will largely define the roles and the responsibilities of both spheres, as well as the obligations that the municipalities must meet in terms of the performance of the function. It also, the new framework recognizes the fact that accrediting the municipality cannot only be a matter that it's implemented by National Department of Human Settlements. It should be able to include other key stakeholders, such as national and provincial COCTA and Treasury, so that you can be able to get concurrency and an agreement about a particular municipality is accredited. Also, Chair, it's important to mention that there are 35 municipalities that are presently accredited at different levels, and all these municipalities are found in different provinces as we have them. And also important to mention the fact that there are 2 levels under which municipalities get accredited. Level 1, which is a foundation level, which deals or allows the municipality to deal with beneficiary administration and management, as well as level 2, which is an apex of accreditation, which allows municipalities to package and implement programs and projects as they are defined in the housing code. It's also important to mention the fact that, Chair, that these levels are conditional statuses and can be revoked or rescinded where a municipality digresses or does not uphold the conditions under which they have been provided this accreditation status. And lastly, Chair, the new accreditation framework places much priority and focus on the intermediate city municipalities, which were formerly known as secondary cities. Because if you can look at the previous one, it was more focused on providing capacity to the metros. Now we're saying that these municipalities face more developmental challenges as much as the metros face. So they also need to be provided capacity towards accreditation so that they can be able to play a key role in special transformation and delivery of the human settlements. I'll then, Chair, move into the slide 18, where we begin to talk about progress that which we have registered as the department on the implementation of the program. The progress that which we have registered will zoom into each province. As far as the intermediate cities that we have spoken about are concerned, we have a municipality there in the different municipalities are captured in the presentation or in the slide per province. So what we have done here, as far as the department is concerned, is that after the adoption of the accreditation framework, we have done a roadshow where we have gone to each and every municipality to take them through the accreditation framework, as well as what is expected of them. We're able to cover the country, the width of the country, by having those engagements with all the municipalities. Further than that, Chair, this year we have started a drive focusing on these municipalities as well as provinces and the accredited municipality, where we are doing a scoping exercise, focusing on the needs assessment of the municipalities, looking and identifying what are some of the capacity gaps that the municipality might be experiencing, with a view or with an aim of developing a capacity support plan for each province, as well as for each municipality that is either accredited or that has been identified for accreditation, which then will then ultimately lead into us as a national department having a roadmap in terms of how do we cover and help these municipalities and provinces where there are capacity gaps as per our mandatory constitutional obligation. So this slide is also covered also on what I've covered. This slide, Chair, demonstrates the capacity basket that which we support the municipalities with. We do this in conjunction with the provincial departments, where we provide municipalities with individual municipal capacity support plans, as I've alluded in terms of the drive that we have begun to undertake. We also help the municipalities in terms of the development and the review of their human settlements plans, as well as their accreditation business plan. We also assist the municipalities in terms of the preparation of the accreditation application by guiding them, by reviewing some of their documents to ensure that the documents that they submit are credible. We also assist the municipalities that are accredited at level 1 so that they can be able to graduate to the apex level by preparing or reviewing the accreditation business plan, as well as the human settlements plans, so that they can have a clear vision in terms of what is it that they're going to do should they get accredited. We also assist the municipalities that are accredited at level 2 to ensure that they perform and to ensure that they sustain the level of accreditation that which they have been awarded. We do this through our post-accreditation support, as we can see there. This slide, Chair, talks to the list of accredited municipalities. I've highlighted that we've got 35 municipalities. It also demonstrates the status of implementation protocols or the relationship that exists between the provinces and the municipalities that are accredited. We have classified this in terms of the IPs that have expired and not renewed, and the IPs that have never been signed since the municipality has been accredited, as well as the active or the implementation protocols that are active or that have been signed between the municipalities and the province. You will see there that we have divided the status based on two levels. A level where what was the status before the accreditation framework was approved, and what is the status right now after the accreditation framework was approved by MINMEC. You'll see that there's a huge improvement and progress that has been made. In terms of this slide, Chair, I must hasten to mention the fact that only Eastern Cape, KZN, Limpopo, Northern Cape, Northwest, Western Cape have active implementation protocol signed between the province and the municipalities, while Free State, Mpumalanga, Gauteng are actually falling behind. I will better explain this in terms of progress on this slide that you can see. This slide does an assessment of the implementation protocol and provides percentages before the accreditation framework was approved, and now that the accreditation framework has been approved. Before the accreditation framework was approved, we were sitting at 26% of the protocols that were never signed. We're sitting at 34% in terms of the implementation protocols that have expired and they were never renewed. And we're sitting at 40% of the active implementation protocol. If you look at your right-hand side, you'll see a major improvement where we now record 68% of the implementation protocols that are active, as well as 26% of the implementation protocols that have expired without being renewed, and we only have 6% of the implementation protocols that have never been signed. And you can see underneath there where those protocols sitting in terms of that progress. Chair, after this slide, we then zoom into the provincial progress report in terms of what are some of the provinces, where the provinces are in terms of the implementation of the accreditation program. In Gauteng, we have about 3 metros that have been accredited, and we have about 4 ICMs that have been identified. Some of the challenges that we have experienced or that are experiencing in Gauteng is around the delays of IPs in renewing the IPs with the accredited municipalities, and also the fact that the province hasn't got into a stage where it can allocate funding to support these municipalities. And the reasons that the province keeps on giving is around they are wary about the state of some of the municipalities that they're supposed to support because of the state of where they are. Some are dysfunctional municipalities such as Imfuleni. And when we look to Northwest, Northwest has about 2 municipalities that are accredited, and they've got about 5 ICMs and 1 non-ICM municipality that has been identified for accreditation. It suffices to mention the fact that the province has put its money where its mouth is by committing some funding towards the accredited municipalities as well as ICMs. There are delays in terms of finalizing the IP for JB Marks, a municipality, as well as they need to be able to update some of the human settlement plans and accreditation business plans that certain municipalities are having. But they are working very hard in terms of doing that, Chair. In Limpopo, we have about 7 municipalities that are accredited. We have 4 ICMs that have been identified for accreditation, and the provinces has committed money to the tune of about 62 million or so for the implementation of projects and programs by Polokwane municipality. Moving to the second one, we have Mpumalanga. In Mpumalanga, there are about 4 municipalities that are accredited, and there are 2 ICMs that have been identified. There are delays in terms of finalizing the IPs for 4 accredited municipalities, and some of the human settlement plans sitting with the municipalities as well as their business plans need to be updated. There has not been funding that the province has put aside, but they've committed that in the next business plans, they'll be able to commit some funding after they've done some groundwork in terms of supporting these municipalities to get to the level where they are comfortable to be able to support them with funding. In Northern Cape, we have about 7 municipalities that are accredited, most of which are district municipalities, and the province has been able to allocate some funding for the capacitation and assisting these municipalities. There are teething problems there. To mention one is this a looming intergovernmental conflict between Francis Bart and the province, where province has actually limited the level of accreditation of Francis Bart from level 1 to level from level 2 to level 1. So they have taken the status of a municipality in terms of the municipality being able to implement and package projects by itself. Now there's an active role of the province in terms of a human settlement delivery within the jurisdiction of the municipality, and the municipality doesn't seem to be happy with that. The state of Solplaatje as an ICM remains a concern in that province. Moving to Free State, Chair, there's only one municipality that has been accredited, which is Mangaung. There are concerns, serious concerns instead of this with regards to the state of Mangaung Metro, as it has gone through different interventions before, as well as a concern around certain ICMs, a state of certain ICMs as far as the audit outcome and the state of local government is concerned. Chair, moving to Eastern Cape, we have 2 municipalities that have been accredited there. And we have 2 ICMs that have been identified. The province has also identified non-ICM municipalities as part of their human settlement delivery strategy. They've identified about 14 municipalities that they will want to be capacitated for accreditation. And they've put in funding to a tune of 23.5 million to be able to assist the BCM municipality, Nelson Mandela Bay, as well as the ICMs that have been identified. The challenge there is around the IPs that have been finalized. When we did our quality check, we were not happy with certain parts of the IPs. We then returned to them to say they need to be able to strengthen those. They are busy with them right now. There's also an issue around inconsistency of reporting to the province by both the municipalities there. We're working hard in terms of assisting the municipalities to be able to report in time. As we speak, last week we were there workshopping the municipalities in terms of the reporting template, Chair. In KZN, there's about 7 municipalities that have been accredited. And over the years, KZN has been a leading province as far as the implementation of the accreditation program is concerned, and they've been able to allocate funding. About 48.5 million has been set aside to support the accredited municipalities there. The only challenge there is around the contractual arrangements between the province and the municipality, which often gets changed, and that disrupt the planning of municipalities. And the last one will be Western Cape. There's only one municipality that has been accredited. There are 3 ICMs that have been identified for accreditation, as well as 2 non-ICM municipalities. Over the years, the province has been able to provide funding to the municipality that has been accredited, and they've also budgeted some funding to be able to assist and support the municipalities that have been identified for accreditation. Lastly, Chair, there are lessons that have been picked up from the implementation of the 2012 accreditation framework to the new one. One of those key issues that is coming up is that the political ownership and oversight of the rollout of the accreditation process is key. We have seen greater improvement as we have seen the signing of many implementation protocols since the acceptance of accreditation by all stakeholders. Now we are beginning to see dividends as far as that is concerned. But also, Chair, it's important that accreditation processes are perceived as part of the broader context of local government developmental agenda, as defined in the National Development Plan to drive spatial transformation, rather than being looked as a simple housing issue. It's also important, Chair, that there's dedicated capacity, particularly at the provincial level, at the senior level, to be able to drive the accreditation program. Lastly, Chair, it's important that within this context of accreditation, that we do not make a mistake of only focusing on the accreditation units of the municipalities, but we need to be able to look at the municipality in its entirety, because accreditation is not awarded to the housing unit, but to the entire municipality. I think that is that for today, Chair, as far as the accreditation program is concerned. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I don't know whether there are additions.
I'm okay, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you, DG. All right, let's engage with the presentation, honorable members. Honorable Ditabe.
Chairperson, thank you very much for the opportunity. Greetings once again to you colleagues, the DM, DG, and his team. Chair, I have to do two things. I'm moving house because the house I was living in was being fixed. So I'm in a bit of a difficult situation, but that's why I decided let me go first, because they have to move stuff out of here. So, Chairperson, I hope that you, let me switch on my video because it's all messy in here, but I hope you can see me. Thank you very much, Chair. And thanks once again to the DGN team for this presentation. Chairperson, I want to, just on the last point that has been raised about a whole local government process approach, if one may call it that, with regards to this whole accreditation process. I support that wholly. And therefore, my question is, if you look at your National Home Builders Registration Council and other built environment councils, your CIDB, etc., we know that each one of them has got a specific role to play. And I want to look in agreement, of course, with the presentation's recommendations. I want us to look at it this way. If you remember the presentation last week, Chairperson, by the department on the first home finance, there was, in particular coming from the minister, this emphasis on local empowerment. And that particular local empowerment process, which we support, if you look at it, you can synergize and link it with this whole accreditation process. So that whilst the metros on the whole contribute about upwards of 50% to the GDP, etc., you shouldn't have a very skewed situation where companies from the metros, provinces that have large metros, etc., come to small provinces and simply work there, and everybody else is either a laborer or a subcontractor. So I see this process from the point of view, as the presentation correctly says, of enhancement of the objects of local government as enunciated in Chapter 7 of the Constitution, social and economic development. That is part of what local government must do. And so I am saying that ahead of time, and of course with very careful measures that have been taken by the department working with provinces to ensure that municipalities that deserve to be accredited and all the implementation protocols observed, that such municipalities in their jurisdictional areas there ahead of time be enough done. If you look at the construction development program, it is part of what, in my view, needs to come into this, so that if indeed a particular municipality is accredited, you shouldn't have a situation where company X, while there is requisite capacity within a particular municipality, will simply come in and work in that municipality. Everybody else, as I said, is either a laborer or a subcontractor. So I think while this should not be too overly regulated, it is important that we have all the nuts and bolts of this process. Think of it not only from the point of view of SPLUMA for purposes of spatial planning, but most importantly, the socio-economic or fundamental socio-economic development and transformation within those municipalities. So it is important, lastly, Chairperson, if I may say this, that, and I think the presentation says that heed is taken or regard is had for the report of local government. But we need to also balance that with, for example, what the Auditor General says, what, for example, a department like Forestry, Environment, Forestry and Fisheries says about the extent to which a particular municipality enhances protection of a clean and safe environment. What the Department of Water and Sanitation says. You will know, Chairperson, DG, that while this is being undertaken in other sister departments, you will have, for example, the Water Services Amendment Act, the National Water Act, which are being reworked so that there are penalties if people break the law. And indeed, in agreement with the presentation again, we are not looking narrowly at housing, but at the entire value chain of human settlement, in particular in regard to or with regards to our own department, SDG 11. And I'm happy that its core elements have been incorporated into the human settlement white paper process, and indeed read with SDG 6, water and sanitation, and there being linkages and synergies between SDG 11, SDG 6, and other 15 SDGs. Chairperson, thank you very much on that note.
Thank you, Honorable Magagula.
Thank you, Chairperson, and welcome the presentation. I've got some few concern or issues to raise, Chair. In terms of the capacity of the metros, I've heard that it has been done by the department. Yes, they are capable.
Can we see your face, Honorable Magagula?
Sorry. Chair, may I call?
Thank you. Continue.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'm saying in terms of the accreditation on capacity matters to these municipalities which are going to be accredited. I've heard that the department have done that, they are sure. But remember that sometimes if you accredited the municipalities or the province, it end up that sometimes there's a backlog because of using sometimes one contractor, and that it makes us taking us back in terms of backlog, or that a contractor is seen as favored by the municipality. I think we've seen in Free State. I think we've observed that in Free State, and people, we started to raise it as to why this one contractor all over. But then I think the role of the national will be observing and intervening in terms of if it comes to a push, or if it happens that that derail the process of doing and fast tracking construction of farmer projects in those municipalities. If that is the case, that the department is going to do that, I think the accreditation, you don't have any problem in terms of agreeing and supporting the department to do that, as long as it's going to be also monitored and also being going to be an intervention from the national. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. DJ.
Chairperson, allow me to ask Mielani to respond to the questions.
Mielani.
Thank you very much, Chair and DG. The first comments and insight in terms of guidance from Honorable Tewe, we do take the guidance so that we can look beyond what we are doing right now, so that we can extend the antennae of how far the accreditation implementation has been implemented. For now, it's been more focused around what we do as human settlement around COCTA, National Treasury. So there's a need that we might look at the suggestion in terms of what the NHBRC is doing, as well as other council, and be able to synergize our work that are designed towards a capacity support to the municipalities, something that which we will look at and prioritize going forward, as well as look at what the Department of Forestry is doing around clean water, as well as issues around the SDGs 6 and level, as well as any other relevant SDGs. So there's a need that we need to expand our scope, particularly now that we're talking of local government in its broad sense, and local government playing a developmental role in terms of the delivery of human settlement. We do take that, Chair. The concern around the capacity of metros, as well as an issue around the contractor appointments. It's a difficult one to be able to respond around the procurement of authority that of the municipality. However, in terms of the monitoring and the report mechanism that which we have put in place, we should be able to identify and be able to ask questions to the municipalities around that. But suffices to mention the fact that in terms of your contract management, as part of our capacity, that we do provide to provinces in terms of how they can best manage their programs and project. Chair. And yeah, so we have to perhaps tighten up on the monitoring and support that provinces must be able to provide to the municipalities. But also suffice to mention the fact that there's no implementation protocol that has been signed between the province and Mangaung municipality at present. So I would not know much of the details, because what we do as national, we monitor the implementation protocols that are signed in terms of what projects and what program are implemented, as well as the progress that is being made. We'll try and endeavor to follow it up through the province to find out this issue that has been raised by the honorable member. Thank you very much, DG and the chair.
Thank you, Mr. Ntemo. Honorable Kakakilwe, followed by Honorable Gamede.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. And let me appreciate a well-prepared and well-informative presentation from the department. And let me also congratulate the department for their gradual improvement when it comes to the monitoring of the implementation of protocols. And then also, Chair, and to congratulate the department for the efforts and support that they provide to the provinces as well as to the municipalities. And Chair, I'll go straight now to the questions. Under the accreditation process, the presentation stated that the IP performance should be reviewed and conducted 3 months before their expiry by the national department through their technical team. But we still have some of the municipalities with expired IPs. Why is this happening if they are supposed to be reviewed 3 months before their expiry date? And then number 2, the accreditation process. The municipality is required to comply with the MAF requirements, but some of the municipalities at Limpopo and Eastern Cape, they signed their IP, and the presentation indicated that they were non-compliant with the MAF requirements. And then when it comes to Mangaung, the presentation stated that there is a concern. And looking at Mangaung as the only municipality in Free State which was accredited, and it's a concern, does the department have any plan to intervene in Free State? As the presentation also indicated that even the ICMs of Free State, they are also a concern. And what are those concerns? And when it comes to Northwest, I'm sorry, I'm going to talk about it. What is the department doing to support Northwest, even though they are trying to fast track the finalization of the accreditation of JB Max? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Gamede.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. The revised framework emphasizes on a differentiated approach and program-based approach for accreditation. It is indeed a positive step towards recognizing the diverse capacities and needs of municipalities, moving away from one-size-fits-all model. This flexibility should also enhance the practical applicability of the framework. In light of the acknowledged lack of political support and consensus on assignment for the 2012 framework, how does the revised 2023 framework specifically address and mitigate this risk to ensure sustained political will and also commitment from all spheres of government for its successful implementation? The presentation also states that accreditation does not transfer functions from one sphere of government to another, and legally, it's also the functions can only be transferred through assignment. If the ultimate goal is to enable municipalities to fully administer housing programs, what are the long-term plans to actually transition from accreditation to actual assignment of functions, especially considering the challenges faced by the 2012 framework regarding political support for assignment? Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you. DG or Stan Clemo?
We can ask Mialani to respond, Chair, but just to indicate that there is a rationale, Chair, why we have opted for a differentiated approach and for us to do regular reviews on whether the municipalities as delivery entities remain capable of delivering the mandate for which they are given, because right now, as we speak, some of the historically accredited municipalities are a shadow of their former self. They are no longer what we had accredited, either by changes in administration or at political leadership or otherwise, but those changes have had an impact on their ability to deliver houses. And also the fact that some municipalities that would have been accredited at level 1 would have outdone themselves to the extent that they may warrant a promotion to level 2 and so on. So given those considerations, yes, the revised framework takes this historical view into consideration and the lessons that we have had over time, and seeks to approach the accreditation process not in a one-size-fits-them-all, and to also do away with the once accredited, always accredited principle, and that we look at justification by the municipalities why. First and foremost, they must retain the accreditation, and secondly, whether that accreditation should be downgraded to a lower level, or even better, whether it should be upgraded to a higher level. And the system is designed to regularly check and taking into cognizance even some of the key instruments that previously we may not have applied, including the annual AG report should be a good guide to us, and also the ranking of municipalities, together with what COGTA itself does in as far as the rankings, including what the Treasury also classify as such. So we are confident that the revised framework will hold us in a good state, so that the municipalities that ultimately get gazetted for receiving funding for delivery of human settlements products, that they are capable enough to do so on budget within the requisite time, and also having the capability to account for the resources that are being outlaid to them following the accreditation process. But I think Mialani can then respond to the other comments that have been posited by the two honorable members.
Thank you very much, DG. There's a question around expired accreditation implementation protocol. When it's clear that the framework says there must be the preparations or the review of those implementation protocols must be concluded 3 months before they expire. That's very true, Honorable Member. But just perhaps within the context of what the DG has already alluded to, these were some of the systematic failures of the accreditation framework 2012, where there were no remedial actions factored into the process. The new accreditation framework does provide us or empower us with taking remedial actions. One of those remedial actions will be to issue compliance, non-compliance letters to either, if it's the province that's in default of taking out its obligation, will then be able to look at that. So there are different remedial actions that which we take. So these ones were the results of the fact that we are actually inheriting some of the past failures of the accreditation framework, and that which we now have to be able to deal with. There's a process in terms of assisting some of the municipalities and provinces. I think DG has alerted to the fact that some of the capacity which existed before, either in the municipality or in the provinces, is no longer there. There's new people that have come in, so we need to then refresh them and start the process afresh. So there are plans in terms of closing those gaps. As we have seen in the accreditation slides that we presented, there's a huge quantum leap in terms of the number of the IPs that were expired and not signed into a process where they have now begun to be signed. So we are making inroads as far as that is concerned, Honorable Member. There's an issue around Limpopo and Mpumalanga not being compliant. I think I've already highlighted because this expired IP come from there. There's a question around what is the plan of the department in terms of assisting Mangaung as well as the ICM. Somewhere in the presentation, when I presented on the status of intermediate city municipalities, I've highlighted the fact that we have gone on a national drive, zooming into each and every municipality in terms of workshopping them about their obligations on the accreditation. But further than that, we have from January begun to do a scoping exercise that will assist in getting to assist the municipalities in identifying some of their needs for them to be able to take on the function, but as well as assist them in terms of identifying what are some of the gaps that they're experiencing. And ultimately, we'll then be able to develop an individual capacity support plan, which would have been informed by the identification of the gaps as well as needs assessment. And then we'll develop a roadmap in terms of together ourselves and provinces will be able to then adopt a clear roadmap in terms of how are we going to assist those municipalities. Mangaung, as well as any other municipality, falls amongst all these initiatives that we're undertaking as the national department. There's a question around Northwest in JB Max. As to what is that the department is going to do. I think I've covered it as I was answering on Mangaung, because we are doing more, the same thing. We've zoomed into each and every municipality. We've looked at what are some of the intergovernmental conflicts that exist between the municipality and the province, and were able to come up with a mechanism on how that has to close. So one of the issues in JB Max was the issue around the IP. It has now been negotiated. There's a draft IP that has now been developed. Is just waiting for the signature by the HOD Northwest, and then it will be given to the MM for its conclusion. We're looking at about the end of June to be able to tie in the IP of JB Max. Honorable Gamede ask a question around the issue around how to mitigate against the issue of political ownership to ensure that it doesn't impact or negatively on the accreditation process. In terms of the accreditation framework, I've spoken about 6 thrusts that which we have come up with. One of the mechanisms that which we have put in there is to tie in the timelines within which decisions have to be made. Either from a political office, there's a strict period under which the accreditation process of the municipality needs to be processed. But further than that, we've also elevated the role of the national minister, that the national minister, should the municipality feel aggrieved or the province feel that the municipality is not living up to its expectation, they can make a submission to the national minister. The national minister can be able to intervene. And there's periods with, there's a time frame that is also allocated to that, so that we can then be able to circumvent and deal with the issue around the risk area. On the issue of what are the plans to ensure that assignment beyond accreditation is actually implemented. That's a very difficult one. But in terms of the accreditation framework as it stands today, having it been informed by the implementation of the accreditation 2012, is that the issue around assignment does not get support from a provincial sphere, on the basis that for some province, let's take an example, Gauteng. It means that 84% of the budget that sits with the province has to be moved to the municipalities. What then will be the role of provinces within the unitary state or arrangement that which government has been established? And as well as the issue around, we cannot deny the fact that the issue around capacity and instability of municipalities has raises serious concern. So if you were to permanently move the function to the municipalities, what happens in cases where they go through a breakdown and face issues around instabilities and face issues around capacity? It becomes a problem, because once you delegate, once you assign the function, it cannot be revoked. It's gone, and it's gone forever. However, in aligning myself with the view of the DG, is that there's work that is taking place that is driven by COGTA at the present moment, which looks at the review of the white paper. It will also zoom into shifting and rearranging different functions and powers between provinces and municipalities. So I don't know whether the human settlement function could be one of those that they're going to look at. So that will be it, Chairperson, in terms of the response from us as the department. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Frenchman.
Thank you, Chairperson. My question is a direct question specifically to City of Cape Town. I wanted to know if it's City of Cape Town, if that is an old accreditation or a new accreditation. Also, within the city of Cape Town, there is currently people attending court for fraud and corruption. And I wanted to know if in any cases that this was also looked at when providing accreditation to the city of Cape Town. I feel, Chairperson, that we shouldn't mislead our communities by giving accreditation where there are still some question marks within that municipality for also sending money back to Treasury and not conforming to, building the houses that they were required to build or they said they're going to build. But also, I want to know, has the department been out within the city of Cape Town to actually look if whether what the city of Cape Town has promised to do, whether it has been done and according to, the specifications of the department? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. DG? Mielani?
Thank you very much, Chair. There's a question around whether the city of Cape Town falls under the new accredited municipalities or the new ones. The city of Cape Town was accredited around 2012 or so, 2011, 2012, and is still maintaining its accreditation status since that time. So what has been happening over a period of time is that the accreditation implementation protocol expires and it gets renewed over a period of time. The question around whether we've been able to zoom into whether the city of Cape Town is able to live up to its obligation as far as the accreditation expectations are is concerned, is that the delegating authorities, it's important to mention the fact that the delegating authority lies with the province, because it is the provincial function that gets to the municipality. And in terms of the project design, the performance of the municipality must be the municipality then accounts directly to the delegating authority, which is the province. However, we do provide platforms under which both the province and the municipality are able to then account. As far as we are concerned, there hasn't been a major issue that we have picked up as far as the performance of the municipality is concerned. As far as the HSDG is concerned, where there's been problems or there's been challenges, we've been able to get together with the province and the municipality. I wouldn't know much about the issues around the fraud and that there's people that are going through court. In actual fact, as part of our reporting template, we also asked the provinces to be able to report if there's been any corruption or related issues in the municipalities. And certainly the province has not been able to give us that indication that there's been some corrupt activities that are taking place within the municipality. But we will then follow up through the province and be able to get to the depth of the issue, as well as try and find out what is it that the province is doing as far as this matter is concerned. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. That was the last question. I think what members are saying is that as you go through the process of accrediting, please check everything, what the AG is saying about the municipality and whether the municipality has the appetite to perform so that they are not returning money that is meant to build houses. I think we're done with the presentation from the department. We're going to get into the next item, which deals with the approval of minutes. But as the secretary is preparing for that, honorable members, I just want to say and also inform the DG and the deputy minister that in terms of our program next week, we're supposed to have the department and 3 entities on the 18th and have the remaining 3 entities on the 20th. I've spoken to the DG to check whether in terms of the new budget presentation, whether anything has changed from what they presented to the committee. The DG indicated that for now, there's no change. And because on the 20th, Parliament is conducting a parliamentary training, I then suggested to the secretary that instead of considering the department, CISOs, NHFC, and NHBRC, rather, let's consider the remaining entities, which is SHRA, PPRA, and SDA, because they never appeared before the committee in terms of their presentation. But we'll give a slot to the department, about 10 minutes or so, just to indicate on record that what they presented to the committee before has not changed, and even say it on behalf of the 3 entities that what they presented before the committee before has not changed. Then we can then be ready for budget debate of the department. I think is on the 3rd or the 4th of July. Will that be fine with you, honorable members? As the chairperson is suggesting.
Chair, just as you said, it's a new cycling of the budget process, and I think everything has to be redone, and so we think we have to see all 8 entities again, and that is what it means. A new recycle of the budget process is undertaken. Thank you, Chair.
Chairperson.
Okay. Honorable Karaikila.
Chairperson, I fully support your proposal because there is no need for us to come and listen to what we already know. If the department is saying there is no change, there is no change. On that note, I support what you propose, sir.
Can I get further inputs? Other members, what's your feeling?
I second what Honorable Betty said, Chairperson. Thank you.
Any other input?
Agreed.
Honorable Dutebe.
Chairperson, broadly in terms of the fiscal framework, there would have been no change, just from the point of view of the architecture of the budget. What we do know is that in respect of certain other items, there would have been a reduction because we all know, for example, what 0.5% of VAT would have meant. But I agree with the honorable members who say broadly nothing would have changed except insofar as the department could indicate that here we are revising this downwards, etc., because everything obviously would be within the context of the fiscal framework. So much as I agree with them, the department itself should tell us whether broadly within the fiscal framework anything has changed materially, because something has changed in terms of the projections, that is in terms of revenue collection, but the entire architecture framework of budget as of March this year, presented later on the 21st of May, would not have changed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think, if I'm not mistaken, next week, Wednesday, we have the whole day. Secretary, am I correct?
Yes, Chairperson, you correct. You are correct. We are having the whole day next.
Yeah, the whole day is dedicated to this. So let's have all the entities being invited, but we will prioritize SHRA, PPRA, and SDA. And immediately after their presentation, the department and the other three entities will just indicate whether there are changes or no changes. But we'll do everything on Wednesday so that we are able to adopt the report. So what I'm saying to the Deputy Minister and the DG is that next week, Wednesday, we'll expect all entities. Of course, the Secretary will still communicate with your office. We'll expect all entities to be here, but we'll start with entities that did not present, which is SHRA, PPRA, and HDA. And other entities and the department will indicate whether there's nothing to do, so that on Friday, we release members to attend to the parliamentary training. Let's do it like that. And can we go to the next item? Minutes, Secretary?
Chairperson, Tsepo is going to fly to the oversight visit report to Free State. Thank you. Tsepo, please.
The report to Free State. Let's do quickly because members must get into the buses to go to the sitting. And I want to say the report was circulated, and I guess members have gone through the report. Because of time, I'm not going step by step, but I'll just say if members have identified things that they want to input, tell us the page and your input. Any amendment, any subtraction, addition to the report, it was distributed well in time. Anything, members, that you want to correct, input? Yes, in the meantime, you might scroll down the report. Anything? I don't see a hand. Can I get a motion for the adoption of the report? Honorable Ditebe.
Chairperson, I did go through the report. I indicated earlier that I'm moving to another house. Let me just say, there is the part of the informal settlement that we went to as we concluded our oversight in Machabeng. There was an error, but I brought it to the attention of both our secretary and our content person. And I've since made my submission to say the information that was put in the initial draft was incorrect because it pertained to an established township. And the correct one, of course, they also recalled that indeed the details that were captured in the last, in that part of the report were incorrect, because it will tell you that part of the report that there's 84% progress, etc. And yet there is nothing, there's no water reticulation, nothing whatsoever. So it wouldn't, that aspect of the report would be incorrect. But perhaps if, with your permission, Chair, we could establish from both Tsepo and Siskoliswa whether that part has been taken care of.
Okay.
Hello, Chair.
Yes.
Yes, the corrections has been made. Just check on the screen now. The part that Mr. Titebe is referring to is highlighted. I mean, it's the one that is flighted now, Chair.
Okay. It was taken care of, Honorable Titebe. Can I get a mover?
Yes, Chair. No, on that note, then I move for the adoption. Thank you very much.
There is a motion. Can I get a second? Honorable Magagula.
Thank you, Chair. I do second.
Thank you very much. Is there an alternative view? Nothing. The report is adopted and it will be sent to the House for presentation to the House. We'll be ready to debate the report. Secretary, any other thing?
Yes, Chair, I'm going to flag the report of the conference that we attended. Oh, okay. We can start, Chairperson, with the minutes of the 2nd of April. And then I will check the report in the meantime.
Okay. We can release the DG and your team. There's no problem as we deal with the minutes. And the DM. The minutes were also submitted well in advance. And
thank you, Chair.
And are there corrections, amendments to the minutes? I'm trying to accommodate you, honorable members, so that you don't have a problem with the moving to. Are there amendments to the minutes? If not, can I get a motion for the adoption of the minutes? Honorable Magagula.
Chairperson, I move for the adoption of the minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Khakilwe.
Thank you, Chairperson. I second the adoption of the minutes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ditebe.
Chairperson, in support, may I just say that arising from the minutes, there would obviously be issues that we would like to see implemented going forward, like in the minutes that there must be there must be regular reports with regards to implementation, etc. So if the let's call them what is the correct phrase again? Matters arising. Matters arising from those minutes could they be developed into some action plans so that we monitor the extent to which there's compliance with things that the committee has reflected on?
Thank you very much. I think the Secretary is noting, and there will be an opportunity at some stage just to check how far are we with the implementation of decisions of this committee. And if we can do that on a quarterly basis, that will assist. But let's turn in issues that we resolved on into the implementation plan. Minutes adopted. Secretary?
Yes, Chair. The report on the participation on the construction law conference. Can you see it on the screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Attendance and participation of the conference. It was also sent to members well in advance. I'm not sure whether there are issues with the report, because on anything that we spend money of Parliament, we're expected to give Parliament a report. Honorable Ditewe.
Chairperson, thank you very much. While moving for the adoption of the report, I think it is important that we have as some form of an annexure. There were very many presentations there. And as you correctly say, Chairperson, we must be able to demonstrate value for the money that was spent, which is public money, but also for the empowerment of members themselves. Just by way of example, Chairperson, if you look in the, say, the built environment, instruments, various instruments are used. You'll have at an international level FIDIC with the Green Book, Yellow Book, etc. And then, of course, you have the new engineering contract and our own instruments at home that have been adapted for our own environment. It becomes important that as members, even if we may not be, for example, dealing with matters at an international level, but just so that we understand. So what am I saying? I'm saying kindly if the organizers could supply us with those presentations so that at our own leisure, we can go through those again, because some other members would be participating, say, in other portfolio committees, be it public works, water and sanitation, and some of those very instruments from time to time would be relevant for purposes of their own understanding as to how issues of contract are dealt with and project management and so forth. And the role of the built environment councils largely in promoting our economic growth and development in the context of the gross fixed capital formation. Lastly, Chairperson, I know it's not related to this. We attended that conference, very good, but annually our own Public Works Department convenes an infrastructure conference. I'm not suggesting that we discuss it here, but there will be commonalities between a conference such as that one that we attended at the CTICC and the annual one that the Public Works Department, I think the last one was this year on the 25th and 26th of May. And maybe we might want to take advantage of that because it doesn't even take place outside of Cape Town. It takes place right here. The traditional venue seems to be the Century City. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. I think Secretariat will follow up on that one so that we don't have duplications. Can I get a second? Honorable Ditewe has moved for the adoption.
I second, Chair. Thank you.
Honorable Karakilo second. Is there an alternative view?
I would like to support Honorable Ditewe on the conference one. Thank you.
Okay, supported. Thanks very much. Report is adopted.
Ngiyacela mawuthatha Bandlela, Gamet.
Secretary.
Hello,
Any
Chair.
other thing? Do you still have something?
Yes, Chair, for June.
But we don't see anything on the screen.
Okay, let me see what's happening now. Yes, Chair. Can you see it now, Chair?
Yeah, the minutes of the 4th June, our committee meeting, where we're discussing first home finance and issues that relate to NHFC. The minutes were circulated. Are there, as you scroll down the minutes, are there amendments? I don't see a hand for amendments. Can I get a motion for the adoption of the report? Of the minutes? For the adoption of the minutes? Honorable Krakilwe.
Chair, I move for the adoption of the minutes.
Honorable Krakilwe moves. Can I get a second? Honorable Makagula.
Mr. Titebe's hand is up, Chair.
Honorable Ditebe.
Chair, I second Honorable Kehakilo. I think members are trying to get onto the buses. Thank you very much.
Minutes adopted.
For April, Chair. Can you see?
For April. April. Let us not
Yes,
let us not keep minutes for so long. There's minutes for April. It was a virtual meeting, and that is the agenda. Just to remind honorable members, any amendment? No amendment. Can I get a motion for the adoption? Honorable Ditebe.
I move, Chair, for the adoption.
Honorable Ditebe moves. Honorable Krakilwe. I'm waiting for the second. Honorable Krakilwe.
Chair, I'm in the bus. I didn't hear. Yes, I'm seconding, Chair.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
23 April, Chair.
Let us not repeat that mistake, Secretary.
Yes, Chair.
23 April. Are there amendments? No amendment. Can I get a mover for the adoption of the minutes? Honorable Krakilwe.
Chair, I move for the adoption.
Honorable Krakilwe moves. Can I get a seconder? Honorable Makagula.
I second, Chair.
Thank you very much. An alternative view, nothing. Was that the last set?
28th of May, Chair.
28th of May, let's flight it.
Can you see it, Chair?
No.
Okay, let me try, Chair. The 8th of May.
Minutes for the 28th of May. Are there amendments? Nothing. Can I get a motion for the adoption of the minutes of 28th May? They've all been distributed to you, Honorable Ditabe.
Chair, I move for the adoption of the minutes.
Thank you very much. Can I get a second?
I second, Chair.
Honorable Makagula, second. An alternative view? Thanks very much.
Last one, Chair.
May. Minutes of the meeting of the 14th May. Amendments? Yes.
Yes, there are. I was present in this meeting, but I had a network problem. I was in and out. But I'm tick as I was absent, but I was present.
Yeah. Can we amend that?
14 May?
Yes.
Yes, yes. Yakhumbula ngitshelile last time, ne?
I will check the records, Mama Kakula, and I will correct it.
Yeah, check with the IT.
All right.
And
yeah. With that amendment, can I get a mover? Are you moving, Honorable Makagula? Honorable Detail?
Yes, I was moving with the amendments.
Chair,
yes.
With those amendments, I move for the adoption.
Yeah, second, the Honorable Makagula moves. Thank you very much.
Chair, it's very noisy here, you know.
All right,
So
I understand.
it's difficult for me to follow the order. Okay, I second Honorable Makagula. Was that the last set of minutes?
Yes.
Okay, Chair.
Did we do the 21st? I don't have the records on my side of the 21st one.
The first NHPRC, we did that.
The NHPRC and CITP.
Yeah, we did that.
Yeah.
Hello, Honorable Mpiti.
Chair, sorry, I'm just asking. I'm on my emails trying to check these minutes. I just want to check on the date that they were sent, please.
Okay, I will check and understand. I will check, Chairperson, just a few minutes.
Which one are you referring to, Honorable Apiti? The same one, 21 May.
No, I'm referring to the ones that were just passed now. I'm just on my email trying to see when we received them. Yeah, that's the only thing, Chair. I can only see the presentations. So I just want to know the date so that I can find that on my email.
All right, Secretary. Double check and you'll
okay,
give
I'm
to.
checking, Chair.
But in the meantime, if there are no amendments, can I get a mover? Honorable Ditabe.
Chair, I move in that
Thank you.
revolutionary spirit. Honorable Gameda is here, but he's not participating in the meeting, but I move.
All right, can I get a
Honorable
second?
Zamede is
Don't
right
be
here. He's
ridiculous.
not participating. Thank you, Chair. I don't know if you'll be tempted to
Sorry for that
second.
inconvenience. I thought it would be done by the time you get into buses. Sorry for that.
Okay, Chair. Thank you.
Can I get a second? Honorable Magagula.
I move, Chair.
You're seconding. I know you are also in the bus. Very much.
Yes.
No alternative view. Nothing. Secretary, the minutes are adopted, but please check the date and inform the member.
Okay, Chair, I will.
I know sometimes you send these things well in advance and we tend to miss the date. Even on the invitations, send invitation for the following week's meeting after our current meeting, because if you send before, I remember last week, Honorable PT was a bit confused because he received this invitation and this invitation. So I think we are done, honorable members. Thanks very much. Let's prepare for next week, Wednesday, which will be possibly a whole day's meeting where we'll receive presentations from all our entities and the department, although we'll prioritize entities that never presented to us. We requested the department to double check their budget after the minister revised his budget so that they are able to point to us where there are changes, if there are. So Secretary, please send invitation for all the entities to come and the department for next week's presentation, because we must finalize with this issue, then adopt the report, then be ready for budget debate. Can I thank everybody who's on the platform? And I know members are on their way to Parliament, and say the meeting stand adjourned. See you this afternoon in the plenary. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Police, what?
Casey?
Yeah, Kuliswa, can you call me?
Recording stopped. Okay, I will call you. I'm just across the road. I will call you.
Yeah, because I want to discuss something with you for the
All right.
18th now. We have a problem, challenge, chap.
Sure.